Good afternoon. It's meteorologist Michael Fecka. Welcome back to the 2:30 afternoon news and weather update. We do this every day, Monday through Friday. We'll start off with a look at your forecast, transition over to a look at your top news headlines with Jamie and Rob. So don't go anywhere. You want to get your news of Phil and weather here. But we'll start off with a look at the forecast. Looking at the weather headlines, it's going to be sunny, warmer today through the rest of this afternoon. And then as we get into tonight, we do have that chance to see the auroras once again. Now, it already doesn't look like this geomagnetic storm is going to be quite as strong as the one last night was, but if you do look on the northern horizon, you get away from all the lights and use your phone, I still think you might be able to see it. And looking beyond just this evening, it looks like 70s are going to continue, or at least return for us as we get into the end of the work week and into the start of the weekend. And then it looks like more seasonable through next week with the chance of rain on the way. So let's break it all down for you. Starting off with a look outside right now, it is a gorgeous day. Evansville riverfront, we've got the sun shining off the river, clear blue skies, hardly even any clouds out there right now. It is a bit breezy, but it's not overly windy either. We have winds out of the west right now between 5 to 15 miles per hour, so it is on the gentler side, but it is making for at least a breezier afternoon out there. But with winds out of the west, you'll notice it is a lot warmer out there yesterday or today compared to yesterday, and especially on Monday. Temperatures have warmed all the way up into the 60s this afternoon. The warm spot on the map, 67 degrees there in Madisonville, sitting at around 65 here in Evansville. Looking at the 24-hour temperature change, and this is what I'm talking about, a huge difference from today to yesterday. 20 degrees warmer right now than we were 24 hours ago, and that seems to be the warmest change that we've seen so far across the entire Ohio River Valley is here in Evansville. But we've all started to warm up here on the eastern half of the United States, and that's because this area of high pressure is building off to our southwest, so winds are generally coming out of the westerly direction than out of the north, which is what was bringing us all of that colder air. But with that high pressure in place, I mentioned it before, hardly even any clouds out there right now, and I think that'll stay true as we get into tonight. So again, if you are a fan of the auroras, you want to get out there and check it out, I think you'll be able to see it, at least in terms of our sky cover. We shouldn't really have any cloud issues until we get very, very late in the evening. It looks like we'll see an increase in cloud cover through very early tomorrow morning, but at least the first part of the evening there, right after sunset, which is when that geomagnetic storm is supposed to be at its strongest, we'll still have clear skies, and temperatures won't be all that chilly either. We'll be in the upper 40s to around 50, so you'll definitely want a sweatshirt, but it's not something you have to bundle up with layers for. But looking at the aurora forecast, that storm should sit anywhere between a 6 and an 8, so that moderate to severe category, so likely ending up somewhere on the stronger side. But again, we still need to be looking on the northern horizon. I don't think it's going to be as beautiful and bright as it was last night. I mean, some of us were able to just look up overhead and see it even without a phone camera. I don't think that's going to be the case tonight. I think you're going to have to put in a little bit more effort to see it, but it's still something fun to do. If you've got nothing better, it'll be a good night for it. Now, as we go through the overnight hours, we should stay mostly clear to partly cloudy. Again, the aurora a little bit earlier in the evening, usually between 7 and 9 is what we're looking at in terms of the strongest geomagnetic part of the storm. But looking at our wind speeds, they'll remain out of the west and then even become southerly once we get into tomorrow, and that will continue to warm us up into the 60s for our Thursday once again, and we should stay dry for the most part. We really don't have that chances for rain until we get into Friday morning, and then again once we get into Saturday evening, another front blows through, but the best chances for rain overall look to be holding off until next week. So let me break everything down for you here through our Thursday. So we'll stay clear and dry tonight, a few clouds streaming on in and out throughout the day on Thursday, so partly cloudy tomorrow. Friday, we'll start to see another frontal boundary kind of lift off to our north with a few sprinkles possible early in the morning, mainly north of the Ohio River. But again, some folks in western Kentucky still seeing a little bit of that shower activity, but we should remain mostly dry even as we get into Friday afternoon, maybe even seeing a little bit more of that sunshine as you head towards Friday evening. And then it looks like we'll stay clear and dry for Friday night football games. No issues there. there. But I did mention our rain chances do start to increase once we get into next week. And looking at our precipitation outlook, it looks like Climate Prediction Center also agrees that we're going to remain above average in terms of rainfall. And in looking at our hazardous outlook for the next 8 to 10 days, it does look like we are being outlooked here for that potential for heavy rainfall, kind of lining up and along the Mississippi River and then up into our portion of the Ohio River Valley. So that'll be something we'll be keeping an eye on for next week. And it's a little bit hard to see it here, but we're also included within this strong wind risk for next week. So potentially some stronger areas of low pressure moving through next week, but we'll start it out here through the weekend. We do have a front here that's going to be passing through Saturday night. That could bring us a few spotty showers. It doesn't look like anything overly organized or major, so that should just be a few showers at this point in time, not expecting any severe weather with that. And then high pressure will build in briefly behind that front for the day on Sunday, and that'll keep things nice and dry up until we get into the start of the work week. Some chances for rain there Tuesday night, but they mostly increase once we get into Wednesday night, Thursday afternoon, and possibly even continuing into Friday of next week. So maybe multiple days of rainfall there, and then possibly another system behind that for the end of next weekend. But again, that's getting towards the very end of that forecast range, so a lot of changes with that. But for right now, the big headlines here is that it's going to be warming up through the end of the work week. We're going to get topping out in the 70s here in a moment, and you'll see that looking at our temperature outlook. Climate Prediction Center also highlighting that potential for above average temps there. We'll be soaring into the low 70s by Saturday, but we'll be dropping back down into the 60s as we get into Sunday with that high pressure moving in from the north. That front moves in overnight, and then there's that better chance for showers and storms next week, and that looks like it also is going to keep our temperatures on the cooler side, near average in the upper 50s. So there's a look at your 7-day forecast here. Not a whole lot of issues going through the end of the work week. Again, a few sprinkles possible on Monday morning. I'll take this full screen so you can get a better look at it, and then another front moves in for Saturday night. That'll bring us another chance for a few showers, and it's really going to cool us down. So we'll be topping out in the low 70s Saturday, back down to around 61 on Sunday, and then hanging out in the 50s through much of next week with that potential for some rain, possibly even heavy at times. So that's all I've got here for the forecast. I'm going to hop off now, but I'll send things over to Jamie and Rob for a look at your latest news headlines.
Stay informed on your local news and weather throughout the day by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows. At 8:30 a.m., get your First Alert forecast to plan the day ahead and catch up on the news that happened overnight with the 14 News Sunrise team. In the afternoon, get the latest headlines, forecasts, and a preview of the stories we're working on with the 14 First Alert streaming show at 2:30. And get an in-depth look at the 14 First Alert forecast so you're ready for the next big thing with the 14 First Alert weather show at 9 p.m. Watch the 14 First Alert streaming show that fits your schedule and works best for you. Streaming on your phone by downloading the 14 News app and the 14 First Alert weather app. On your smart TV by using the 14 News streaming app. And stream anytime on Facebook, YouTube, or on 14news.com. Stay connected and stay informed by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows on your favorite streaming devices. Live from 14 News, this is a 14 Digital News Desk update.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for our 2:30 streaming show. I'm Jamie French.
And I'm Robinson Miles. Of course, it has been an eventful day around the Tri-State. We've got a lot of stuff to cover, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So happening tonight, the Newburgh Town Council will hold a public hearing about a plan to improve the wastewater system. Now, officials say the project will feature a new 4 million gallon wet weather equalization tank. They'll be designed to temporarily store excess stormwater. They say a new screening facility will be installed upstream of the tank.
Now, leaders say it's a cost-effective way to put Newburgh in compliance with some recent legislation. However, the project is estimated to be $35 million, and it will require a rate increase for customers. Now, we spoke to several Newburgh residents who are concerned about the rise in cost, so a hearing for public input will be at 5:30 tonight at Newburgh Town Hall on Jennings Street. Our Emma Beck will be there to get the latest information. Of course, she'll have that for you tonight on 14 News.
Now, it's not a big surprise, but an ongoing topic of conversation around the tri-state continues to be utility cost. So also happening tonight, CenterPoint Energy leaders are holding another Community Connect event. Now, it's from 4 to 7 at Mount Vernon Junior High School. Officials say they'll listen to local feedback, highlight local energy improvements, and address customer priorities.
Yeah, this is their third of 5 events. Another is happening tomorrow in Evansville, and then on Saturday in Newburgh.
Now, on the lighter side of things, those of you who like to keep a half eye outside, this will not be a surprise to you. The big thing was the light show yesterday. So check this out. It was an amazing light show courtesy of Mother Nature last evening. Now, people all across the tri-state got the chance to see the Northern Lights.
That's right. It really was the talk of the town. My Facebook was full of people's photos, and I was not complaining about it because the reds, the greens, the purples, I love seeing all of the photos, and these are just a ton of the stunning pictures that we've got from our viewers. I think we had probably over 100 pictures from viewers, and we do appreciate those
Really
because we
impressive.
got a lot of cool shots. Now, a heads up to everyone, you heard Michael say they could be visible again tonight. Jeff's going to have more about that in his forecast tonight, but some really clever shots here. You guys are photographers all across the tri-state because like that one with the church steeple in the background, and then, you know, we see all kinds of different colors. Really cool.
Give you an opportunity, you'll get fancy with it.
Oh,
And that's
yeah.
one thing we love about you. You take an opportunity and you run with it. So we're hoping night 2, see if you can top it, Tri-State.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
luck.
I got a photo and it was just red. I didn't get to see any of the cool greens and I didn't get to see the purples or blues. It was just like a red dot in the sky. So I'm hoping I can see it again tonight.
Build on
Fingers are
that.
crossed. Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Perfect. So, of course, all these things happening tonight and a whole lot more. So be sure to check back in for 14 News at 4, 5, and 6, and later this evening at 10.
All right.